Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. This is the public information meeting for the Saddle Butte Energy Facility Notice of Intent. This meeting is hosted by the Oregon Department of Energy Siting Division. I'm with the Siting Division. My name is Sarah Esterson. I'm the Senior Policy Advisor. Our lead on this project is my colleague Chase McVeigh Walker. We also have our consultant Molly Adams here today. We are here representing the department, happy to answer any questions once we get to the question and answer portion. And the applicant for this proposed project is Saddle Butte Wind LLC, and we'll let them do their introductions in just a moment. Next slide, please. Great. Okay, so our agenda tonight is going to start with a presentation about the proposed project and the proposed location by the applicant team. And then Chase will go over the siting division, siting process, and the importance of commenting during our process and how you can comment. We will then open it up to interested individuals that are here in the room, on the webinar, and on the phone to ask questions of the applicant team or of the siting division. As you heard right before we got started, this meeting is being recorded, so the WebEx itself, as well as like the transcript, will be posted to our project webpage, so that will be available to download for anyone that's interested. We'll also post the slides that you'll see that we go through to the project webpage as well. So with that, we'll hand it over to the applicant team.
Thank you, Sarah, and good evening, everyone. My name is Burke Gursoy. I'm a Vice President of Development at Brookfield Renewable. And also joining me, we have Ben Maloney from our development team. We are here to present the Saddle Butte Wind Project and answer any initial questions we might receive from the audience or kind of on the phone. Yeah, move to the first slide, please. To start off, just a high-level overview of Brookfield Renewable. We are one of the largest renewable energy providers in the US and globally. Alongside our portfolio companies that are listed kind of on the slide, we currently own and operate more than 18,000 megawatts of renewable facilities, hydro, wind, solar, and energy storage across the US. And we have more than 100 gigawatts of kind of projects under development in our pipeline. In particular, we are focused and very committed to the Pacific Northwest and Oregon, especially. We currently own and operate the Shepherd's Flat wind project, 845 megawatts, which used to be one of the largest, if not, I think, the largest kind of wind project ever built kind of in the US when it went into service about 15 years ago. Recently, just last year, we completed the construction of our Goose Prairie kind of solar project across the gorge in Yakima County in Washington, 80 megawatt project. And we have 3 large projects under development, Saddle Butte being one of them in Oregon that we are looking to advance over the next kind of several years. It's part of our continued commitment and investment in Oregon. With that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Ben Maloney, to walk us through the project details.
Thank you, Burke. My name is Ben Maloney. I'm the project manager for Saddle Butte. So showing on the slide here, the project is located in Gilliam County. It's located about 7 miles southwest of Arlington on approximately 11,500 acres of privately owned land. That land is used for cattle grazing, as well as some for wheat farming. The project will be up to 70 wind turbines and 488 megawatts, with the option of a battery energy storage system, or a BESS, which will be up to 488 megawatts and a 4-hour duration. On the interconnection side, BPA will need to be building a 500 kV switch yard. That switch yard will be located on an existing transmission line that goes through Saddle Butte's project area. What that means is we will not need to have a gen tie, as the new switch yard will be built within our project area. We've signed an engineering and procurement agreement with BPA. That engineering and procurement agreement has allowed them to start the work of engineering and designing the substation, as well as ordering long lead equipment. Towards the bottom of the slide, you'll see the schedule that we've laid out. So we've submitted the NOI in December of 2025. We anticipate being able to submit the full application in a few months in Q2 2026, with the goal of beginning construction as early as Q2 2027, with its completion in Q2 2029. Next slide, please. So this slide is just showing a regional map, generally where the project is located. The black outline is the project area, again, in Gilliam County, about 7 miles southwest of Arlington. Next slide, please. So zooming in here a little bit, again, you'll see our black outline towards the southeast area. You'll see the wheat farm, the rest of it's the cattle pasture. There's a green line going through the project area on the slide. That's the existing 500 kV transmission line that BPA owns today. The green triangle is where that new switch yard will go. So again, 500 kV switch yard that BPA will build. Through the center of this project, dividing the project into north and south, runs Cedar Springs Lane. And just to the north and east is the waste management facility. So on that north side of that project, we'll build a collector substation. On the south side of the project, we'll also have a collector substation. If you go to the next slide, we can talk through a little bit of the project components that we've listed in the NOI. Again, wind turbines up to 70 in total, battery energy storage system, as we talked about. Those 2 collector substations, while I mentioned there will be no gen tie, there will be a need for a 230 kV above ground transmission line that will connect those 2 substations on either side of the project area. That will be completely contained within our controlled land. It will need to cross Cedar Springs Lane, but other than that, there is no gen tie. We're not using any right of way. On the rest of the slide here, again, just showing 34.5 kV collection that'll all be underground. That's taking energy from our wind turbines to those collector substations to ultimately go to BPA. And then you have your typical access roads, operation and maintenance building that you might see with any wind farm. Next slide, please. In terms of stakeholder outreach, and we'll talk about this on the next slide, but we have actually finished a number of our environmental surveys to date that has allowed us to really begin engagement with Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. We've had meetings in their office. They've come out to our site, and we've got a lot of very valuable feedback from them that's allowed us to advance the design of our project. In Gilliam County, we've met with the judge, we met with the commissioners. We've had in-person meetings with the planning director, North Gilliam Fire. We've met with Port of Arlington. We have a meeting scheduled with the sheriff and the road commissioner. And we're going to continue to kind of engage with the county to build ultimately a constructive project that will benefit both the community as well as the project itself. On the cultural side, we've begun early engagement with interested tribes. They've actually participated in the surveys that we completed. So in 2025, we completed cultural surveys. 2 of those tribes sent representatives that have participated in those surveys. And we've actually conducted in-person meetings with those tribes as well. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, surveys and studies. So I've listed the surveys here as the completed surveys. Again, the vast majority of our environmental surveys were completed in 2025. It's extremely important because that is going to allow us to advance significantly our design and engineering. It'll allow us to avoid and minimize any sensitive resources that are ultimately identified in the project area. It's also going to allow us to submit the full application in a few months, as we indicated in the timeline. There will be a few studies that we'll need to complete over the next few months. I've listed those below, such as geotech, economic impact, etc. Next slide, please. So on this slide, we are showing an existing BESS facility that was built in Texas. It's called Black Springs. We built this project a year or two ago. And you'll see kind of the main features being a fence around a larger gravel yard. Each of those white kind of Connex looking boxes, those are the battery modules. They're sitting on concrete pads. And it kind of just included this to show you what that ultimately might look like as a part of the Saddle Butte project. Next slide, please. So final slide here, just listing our contact information and kind of who we are on this slide. If you have any questions that we don't answer in this meeting, you can feel free to reach out. We've also listed representatives from Tetra Tech, who's helping us do our environmental permitting and surveys, and Stoll Reeves, who's helping us through the EFSC process. So yeah, I think that's the end of our presentation. I appreciate the time. We'll hand it back to EFSC or the ODO team.
Great. Will you turn off your mic, please? Just hit that button. Or hold it. Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Chase McVeigh Walker. I'm a senior siting analyst at the Oregon Department of Energy. And this slide that I'm going to go through is our siting program overview slide. The Oregon Department of Energy's siting division serves as staff to the Energy Facility Siting Council, which I'll refer to as Council or EFSC. The council consists of up to 7 members serving in a volunteer capacity. Council members are appointed by the governor and approved by the Oregon Senate and represent diverse professional backgrounds from across the state. While ODO siting staff make recommendations to EFSC, it's EFSC themselves that are the final decision-making authority for energy projects under its jurisdiction. The Oregon Department of Energy's siting division has one primary objective, and that's to review large-scale energy projects for compliance with applicable standards and rules. The siting process is a consolidated permit review process where other state and local permits needed for the siting of facilities may be incorporated into the state's permitting process, removing the burden to need to go through multiple separate permitting processes for the applicant. Typically, the consolidation of permits applies to a conditional use permit issued by the county. Our permitting process also requires that the applicant identify whether it seeks a land use determination from EFSC or from the county. And if they choose EFSC, the local permitting process is incorporated and consolidated into the state's process. The applicant for Saddle Butte Energy Facility has elected for EFSC to make the land use determination. If this election changes, interested individuals need to follow the local land use process and participation opportunities. In addition to a consolidated permitting process, our process requires that we request and rely upon local, state, and tribal governments to identify requirements, issues, and appropriate resolution to issues related to their subject matter expertise. A big part of what I do and what other siting analysts do is manage and coordinate with reviewing agencies to ensure that the evaluation and ultimate recommendations are based on the input of our state and local partners. Next slide, please. This slide illustrates the 7 major steps in the application review process. I'll provide some detail on these various steps. However, we do have helpful handouts at the front of the room and additional information that may be helpful on our webpage that provides more details than I'm going to be providing today. So for the Saddle Butte Energy Facility, which we're all here today for, we're in the first step of the application process, and that's the notice of intent highlighted here by the magenta box in the "We are here" words. A notice of intent is a document that states the applicant's intention to submit an application for a site certificate. and includes general information about the project. It's posted to our webpage and is available in hard copy at the Odo office. And can be accessed online in at the monitor at the front of the room. EFSC has rules that govern the notice of intent phase, including the requirement that the department issue a public notice of a comment period. The comment period for this NOI initiated on December 30th and extends through January 30th. You can provide comments tonight or all the way up until the deadline of January 30th. EFSC rules also require that the department seek review and comment from state, local, and tribal governments on potential issues, impacts, and regulations applicable to the proposed facility. After the public comment period concludes and the department has completed its reviewing agency consultation, we're required to issue a project order, which is the second step in the process. The project order is a document that's posted to our website and provided to the applicant, and the project order identifies the requirements and studies that must be included in an application for a site certificate. Following the project order, the third step is the application, and that's a document that the applicant submits, and they submit a preliminary application for a site certificate. The department reviews that preliminary application in consultation with reviewing agencies to determine whether the information provided is complete. Once completeness is determined, we conduct a public information meeting, much like this meeting tonight, but there is one primary difference in the meeting at the completeness phase, and that's that it will not be a comment period. At the completeness meeting, we'll provide more details and explanation about the subsequent steps later in the process, and also more information and the importance of providing comments on the record with sufficient specificity. After the completeness public meeting, the department will issue its draft proposed order, which is the fourth step. At this step, there will be a public comment period and a public hearing. Following the draft proposed order is the proposed order, and that's where EFSC reviews the draft proposed order during a council meeting. Based on direction from EFSC, the Department of Energy issues the proposed order in a notice of contested case. The proposed order is staff's revised recommendations to EFSC based on comments received on the record. Following the proposed order is the contested case phase, and at this phase, only those persons who have raised a relevant issue in person at the public hearing or in writing by the comment deadline on the draft proposed order may participate in the contested case. The contested case process is run by an independent hearing officer. And following the contested case phase, or the final phase in our process, step in our process, is the final order. At the final order step, EFSC reviews the hearing officer's recommended contested case order and issues a final order, approving or denying the application for a site certificate. The final order's findings of facts and conclusions of law are based on the proposed order and the outcome of the contested case. If the council approves the application, EFSC also issues a site certificate. Next slide, please. So this slide runs through commenting at this phase. Now that I've run through the application process, let's get back to why we're here tonight at the notice of intent. As I mentioned, the department is currently accepting public comments on the notice of intent with a deadline of January 30th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. If you're interested in submitting comments for the purpose of informing the evaluation of the site and of the proposed facility, Comments should be detailed and associated with risks or impacts for which the council has jurisdiction. Next slide, please. How to submit comments. If you are interested in submitting comments on the NOI, you can verbally comment tonight. You can mail in comments to my attention, and I'll have my info. Here is my, I think I have some additional contact information on some following slides at the end of the presentation. But you can mail them to my attention at the Salem, Oregon Department of Energy office. You can email me, and you can also submit comments via the Oregon Department of Energy's online comment portal. Next slide, please. To use our comment portal, you'll follow the link shown here on the screen, and you'll find the project name, which is Saddle Butte Energy Facility, and the phase NOI, and you'll click on that drop down option, which then leads to a few prompts to then create and submit comments. And once you've created and submitted a comment via the comment portal, you'll receive an email confirmation that your comments have been submitted. Next slide, please. So what happens to your comments? If you're interested in having your comment be considered or applied to the evaluation required of the applicant, it's important you provide detailed and specific comments related to the proposed facility or site, and that you understand and identify how those comments are related to a requirement within council's jurisdiction. The council has 13 primary standards that apply to all energy facilities. These standards are found in OAR Chapter 345, Division 22. And if your comments are clear and within the council's jurisdiction and also not covered by an existing requirement, the department would identify the issue or evaluation in the project order as something that the applicant is required to evaluate in their preliminary application. Next slide, please. Okay. So now we're going to transition into the public comment portion of the night. And I think we are going to open the floor for public commenters, and we'll start with any commenters in the room, and then we'll transition to those tuning in via the webinar. And then lastly, we'll conclude with anyone on the phone. And now I will look to Wally and Sarah to see if we received any public comment sheets, which are also at the back of the room, should you like to fill out a public comment in written form but not speak, or speak and fill one out. They're back by that monitor.
Thanks, Chase. We haven't seen any forms submitted yet, so if somebody is in the room would like to provide a comment tonight, if you could please grab one of those forms off the table and fill it out, bring it up to us, and then you can provide your comments. Maybe lacking that, we'll say, or in addition to that, if anybody would like to provide comments who's online, and I see that somebody has already figured out how to raise their hand online, and wants to comment, that you can do that. So raise your hand and leave it up until we call on you. You're muted right now, and we will unmute you when it's your turn. So can I go ahead and do that? Okay. So one more time, if anybody is in the room, and if you change your mind, go ahead and get a form while we're listening for other comments. But I'm going to go ahead and unmute North Gillum Fire.
Hello, this is Joe Clotton, Fire Chief for North Gillum. My question is there a map? I've seen the map of the boundaries, but is there a map of the proposed layout in reference to the O&M building and the possible BESS battery storage facility.
Hey Joe, it's Parker. So here we are working on a layout. Haven't quite advanced it in full, but happy to share it when ready. I can tell you that the contemplated BESS is going to be most likely adjacent to the substation that's indicated by that green triangle that we were showing earlier.
Okay.
Close as possible to the substation. With respect to the O&M building, we haven't quite picked the location kind of just yet. That is going to come in further phases of the design. But like I said, as soon as we have a few options, we'll circle back with you and get your input and any suggestions kind of you might have.
Okay. Well, I think you all have my email, so whenever you kind of figure out a layout, or sure appreciate the info on that.
Yeah, absolutely happy to.
Thank you.
And Joe, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, this is Sarah with the Oregon Department of Energy. To the extent you have recommendations about setbacks or how the siting of the BESS or O&M building should be considered, we would welcome those type of comments.
Okay. Yeah. I'm available most anytime. So anytime you want to have a meeting with me, we can certainly do that.
Okay, and I think that what we can do, I'm not sure if we have your email on the record, but we can reach out to coordinate. Have you submitted a comment in the past?
I have not.
Okay. We'll get an email sent out to you this week.
Okay, and I'm sure I've got some emails. I can give you my email right now if you'd like it.
Okay, that would be wonderful.
Okay, it's jclott, so JCLAUGHT as in Tom at gmail.com.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, at this phase for notice of intent, our rules don't require that a site layout map be provided. But again, if you have recommendations about like minimum setbacks or anything else, we are interested in that type of feedback. So we'll reach out.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joe. I'm going to mute your line and I am going to unmute Jerry Gabby, who has his hand up. And Jerry, you should be able to talk.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. But one of the questions was already answered as far as the site map. The other question I have was the size of the towers. 698 feet tip of the blade. The standard tower around here, isn't that like 480 to 500? We're talking another 150, almost 200 feet.
Yeah, I can answer that question. So we have not yet chosen the turbine, so we don't know what the actual dimension of it will be yet.
Okay.
That number is kind of a max. It's an up to. So once we have that information, likely in the actual full application, we will provide that.
Okay. Yeah, that was one of my questions, along with the noise it makes. So, yeah, I was just curious on the height and the noise.
Absolutely, and we'll absolutely follow all noise standards and requirements. There really aren't any, or there aren't very many at all, noise sensitive receptors in the area, but we will comply with all requirements there, and that information will be detailed in the upcoming application.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jerry. I'm going to, it looks like you've already muted your own line, so that's great. So for everybody else, just a reminder that on your screen, hopefully you can see how to raise your hand. So you click on the participants area and there's a hand icon. You click it to raise your hand. You click it again to lower your hand. So if anybody else would like to comment that's online, please raise your hand. We do have a person who's on the phone, and for that, you press *3 on your keypad to raise your hand if you'd like to make a comment. And at this time, we don't have any other hands raised or requests for comments in the room, but we can wait a few minutes.
So this this slide up here is a slide that identifies a few of our helpful online resources via hyperlink that are featured on our webpage. Starting with the primary EFSC Energy Facility Siting Council facilities page. There's a link on the screen here to the public guide, as well as a link to a more detailed explanation of the siting standards. About midway through the list here is a link to the ORISA tool, which is a GIS-based facilities map, interactive map. Then the last helpful link here on the page is a link to the comment portal should you like to comment on this project or any projects open to commenting right now. And I guess that was a good break. We'll see if there's anyone else on the phone.
Yep, so one more call for any comments in the room or online. And again, if you're online, please raise your hand. If you're on the phone, *3 to raise your hand.
Okay. I think if we want to go to the last slide, I just want to reiterate that we thank you all for being here tonight. And as Sarah mentioned at the forefront of the presentation, the WebEx of tonight's meeting will be available on our webpage. And don't hesitate to reach out to me or Sarah or anyone in the siting division with any questions that you may have. And thank you very much for coming.